We are going to talk about those things called Power Platform snippets. Now, these are available to you via Power Apps, Power Automate, Copilot Studio. We're going to focus on Power Apps today for that. Just a little tidbit, April and myself are usually doing this. She's off this week, but did want to mention we do cover these in depth on both of our YouTube channels. So if you like it, then definitely go check out, like and subscribe, smash that subscribe button. We always appreciate it, but we try to cover as much as possible. Okay, so what is the agenda for this session today? What are snippets? If you're not familiar, we're going to talk briefly about that. We're going to talk a little bit about snippet modularity, and then we're also going to cover prepared data for snippets because that's important. You want them to be modular, and then we're going to give you some resources to round it out. So what are these snippets? Well, they are modular pieces of Power Apps or Power Platform code that is kind of lift and shift. You can move them around. I mean, heck, you could even email them to someone if you wanted, and they can copy and paste as long as the format is all correct. It uses, when I talk about format, it uses something called YAML. And so this is a long history of being renamed. It was originally yet another markup language, and then it got renamed to YAML ain't markup language. It's essentially a cousin-like of JSON or XML. It's got a very specific hierarchical syntax around it that allows you to identify the information that is associated to your Power Platform controls, whether that's something like a button or a whole screen or a gallery, which is what we're going to talk about today. So what I wanted to feature on was that if you are creating gallery data within your Power App, you want to and you want to create a YAML snippet out of it, then you don't want it to be using data that won't carry with it. You want it to be modular. So that means that you're probably going to need to get some hard-coded sample data for snippets in there. And what that also means is that if you're connecting to any other data source like SharePoint or Excel even, or Dataverse, then it's not going to carry over with it by default. So you need to actually take some steps to do that. And there are a number of ways to do that. I'm just showcasing a couple of ways today. Don't by any means expect or assume that what I'm sharing is the 2 ways that you must do it. These are just a couple of ways, and likely everyone has some of their favorite ways in which those can be done. So take it for what it is. And so what we want to do is we want to talk about, oh, hold on. I'm getting a call here from I think it's my boss. Hold on. Give me just 1 second. Hello, boss man, you there? Wow, that is a lot to unpack, boss man. Okay, let me see if I can get this straight. What you said is that you saw my tip on hard coding data, but you're specifically using Dataverse and Excel, and you have no idea how to do that, right? So you tried to just copy and paste it. It wasn't working. You were seeing some data, but not all, and so that could be a problem, right? Is that what you said? Yep. Oh, okay, yeah. By the way, boss man, where's your donut? What happened to your donut? Traded the donut for coffee so that you could speak 5 times faster and get more work done during that. Okay, well, that explains why you sound like a chipmunk that just drank 5 Monster Energy drinks. So, okay, well, what is Boss Man talking about, right? What we're going to do is we're going to walk through a demo of how we can take data within our Power App gallery and we can convert it into hard-coded data. So on my screen now, I've got a gallery. Let me just set the context. We've got a couple of screens, right? So I've got a demo Excel, demo Dataverse. These are coming and pulling from different data sources. They are just simple information about a few Lego sets, right? And what we want to be able to do is access these gallery items, which you can do by right-clicking and going to View Code. And this is where you can see it kind of looks like JSON, right? And I'm already using another tip that I had shared previously, but I'll cover real quick now. SVGs, right? Don't link to other images. Use SVGs embedded, so those carry over as well. So you want to make sure you can take advantage of that. But when I come in, I look and see at my items, I can see that it's using something called Lego sets. All right, so let's go look at our data sets. We have a couple here. We've got imported from Excel Lego sets, and then we've got WD Lego sets from Dataverse. So we'll go into that in a moment. Now, the nice thing about the Excel is it's using all these images are referencing things like URLs that are located elsewhere. And so we'll talk about how you can make sure that if they're not, you can carry that over as well. But because it is simply using that data, when I copy this particular code, if I copy this code and I come over to a brand new Power App and a brand new screen and I paste it, then what happens? Well, we see it's broken, right? Because Lego sets does not exist. And so if anybody uses that YAML snippet, then it's going to look broken and you don't want that. You want to hard code the data. But but that might not be self-explanatory on how to make that happen, right? So let's do that. I have a screen called Data Export, and I've got a few buttons down here, and we're going to cover a couple. If we have time, we'll cover things like base64 for your images, but for now, we're going to cover how we can convert this data using JSON. So if I click on this button and I go to OnSelect, we see that I'm doing a couple of things. I'm creating a parameter, and then I'm getting the JSON of the first 6. Now I'm saying 6, I only have 6 in this record set, but you probably don't want, if you've got hundreds of records, you probably don't want to grab all of them. So I'm just saying FirstN, and I'm grabbing the first 6 records from my Lego sets. And then I'm saying JSON binary include binary data, right? So when I click on that, what happens is it gives me the JSON representation of that, which is great, but on its own of itself is not the format that we need. We need it to be in single quotes and look more like an actual record. It's close, right? But it doesn't have the exact syntax of like single quotes and stuff like that. So you can use a better format using Concat, which we'll talk about in a moment. But if you do like the JSON approach, you're not stuck. You're not having to go in and redo everything. This is actually where you can rely on some Copilot to help you out. So I'm going to come into VS Code, and I'm going to paste in my JSON. And you can see down here at the bottom, I've got a couple things going on. I've already got it formatted as JSON. Oops, I've already got it formatted as JSON. There we go. And then I'm also going to use GitHub Copilot to identify and make a request. And so let me come in here. I'm going to format this document, make it look a little bit better. And then I'm just going to give a basic prompt here. I'm going to give it a prompt, and I will copy this in. And we'll take a look at it. It says, convert the following JSON into Power Apps record syntax that can be used in a gallery control items property. Do not change the spelling of my key values, because sometimes it tries to be more efficient. If my key values have spaces in them, it'll try to be like, oh, you don't want that, and eliminate them. And it then completely changes the reference that the gallery is pointing out, which is a problem. And that may still happen, right? So you got to be aware of it. So I'm going to hit send, and it's going to go off and do its own little working, right? It's looking at my file, and now it says, hey, cool, it's given it to me. In fact, we see now it's updated the format. So I've got the single quote here. All my records are still in double quote, which is great. And then for those items that don't need to be in single quotes, like image URL right there, because it's got a space in it, it leaves the space off. So pretty smart, right? Kind of cool. So I am going to come over here, and I'm going to click the copy button, and I'm going to come back to Power Apps right here. And I'm going to go into my Lego set here under Excel, and I'm just going to delete that. So now we know there's no record set being used there. We see that, we see the red X's, and I'm going to paste. And now we see it's going and showing back up, right? And that's great. Excellent. Works. So that means that I should be able to come into my code, and now we see my items is showing all of that JSON converted to record syntax for Power Apps that I need it to be. So I'm going to click copy code. I'm going to come over to Power Apps Studio in a brand new app. I'm going to paste, and bada bing, bada boom, everything is working, right? Works great. Excellent. Okay. Well, that's one way. That's just one way. If you don't want to have to deal with VS Code, and you don't want to have to deal with Copilot or the assistants there, then that's okay too. So I'm going to come over to my Dataverse. And I've got essentially the same thing. I just added one new Lego item. It just came out. Love that thing. The Luxo Junior from Pixar. Big Pixar fan. So I adjusted this a little bit. Now that data looks a little different, right? It's not using just URLs. It's actually embedding the image inside of our Dataverse. So you can kind of see that right over here. I'm actually embedding. I do have the URLs, but I've set up the gallery to use these. To use this column here that's actually embedded. And that matters in a moment, because a lot of you might be doing that, right? So when I come over to my tree view here, I'm going to come back to my data export, and I'm going to come over to Concat. I'm just going to reset the label. I've just got a label here that's outputting everything for me, so it makes it easier to read. And then I'm going to come up to the Concat, and let me expand that. And this is still using, by the way, Lego sets is still using the Excel. This is just another way of concatenating everything. And what it's doing is it's essentially identifying just the things that I need, right? So it's identifying, instead of just taking the full JSON, it's just identifying the columns that I need, still grabbing the first 6 records. But instead of getting every record, if you don't need every record for your gallery, you may only need certain columns. And so you can identify that. And what's nice here is that I've already got the formatting. You can see I've already got single quotes around my my key names, right? So now when I close this up and I click on Concat, well, now everything is ready to go. I don't have to go convert it using AI or Copilot or anything like that. So if I just copy this and I come back to Excel and I go back into my Lego set, list items, and I will delete that just to show that everything is blank now, right? And I will paste that in, bam, it's working again, right? So that's using Concat, that's another method. Now, if you're using Dataverse, let me come back to my data export, right? And we'll look at Dataverse. It's doing the exact same thing. And in fact, what I've got here now is I'm using Concat, but it's using that Lego set image.value. That's the one where it was actually embedded into the data set, into the table, right? So you actually can capture that, but it looks a little weird. And what do I mean? Well, when I click on that, you'll notice that when I go down to my Lego set image, it's referencing AppRes Blob Manager and some reference to an image that's imported inside the data set inside the app, right? So when I take this and copy it, and I go to hard code or paste it into an empty screen that's already in the app, it will work. Oh, let me try that. Oh, you know what? I didn't copy it. Let me go back over here. Sorry, my bad. Let me go back over here, go to view code, copy it. There we go. And actually, you know what? My goodness, I'm losing my mind. I need to copy this. Sorry, copy that. And I need to go into the item sets. That's where I was going. All over the place. I'm ahead of myself. Okay, so now we see what I've done is I've done that, right? I've added it in, and I'm going to copy now that particular gallery. And now that's what I'm going to paste. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to paste, and it works. But when I come into a brand new app, and I paste, well, almost everything works, but I'm not getting the images, right? Because it's referencing that AppRes that I can't get access to. So what can I do? Well, that's where base64 comes in. So if I go back, I'm going to delete this. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go into my data export, clear this out, and I'm going to show you that what I'm doing is on my base64, I'm taking that Lego set, and I'm taking the value, and I'm converting it into JSON and including binary data. So now you got to be aware that this is going to increase the size of your data set, but that's why we only use a few items in a gallery as sample, right? Only need a little bit of that. So what I'm going to do, I'm also, by the way, kind of cool tip is you don't want to always have to copy, just add that and it'll automatically add it to your clipboard, right? So it's super easy. You don't have to go and select everything and copy it. That'll just automatically add it to your clipboard and you don't even need to worry about it. So I'm going to click on this and now you see it's a lot bigger. And what it's doing is it's giving me the output of that image in base64. So theoretically, I already have that as part of my clipboard, so I don't need to select all this and copy. So if I come back into my Dataverse here and I select all on my items and I delete, just again show there's nothing hidden up this sleeve, nothing hidden up that sleeve, and I not paste there. I paste, oh my goodness, I paste here in items. There we go. Now everything looks to be working, but it looked like it was working before too, right? So if I come in here and I look at the view code, okay, that is different, right? It's not using that AppRes reference. So I'm going to copy code and I'm going to come back over to my hard-coded sample. I'm going to delete what's there and I'm going to paste within the same app. Okay, yep, looking good as expected. Now when I come to a brand new app, then how does that look? And bam, everything is working, right? Simply because now literally everything within my record set is completely modular, standalone. It works on its own. So it can be pasted anywhere and everywhere, has no reference. Of course, I've got the set URL referencing here, but I don't necessarily need it. My image is actually using that Lego set image, this item.lego set image, and you see that right there, right? So it's using the base64 image. So super cool, very accelerated version of this. I will be creating a more in-depth video on this on my own, but I wanted to share it with y'all because I think it's a super cool way. You can do it with a lot of other things too, by the way. I'll cover those in the future, but we do want to get back to the call. And hey, okay, Boss Man is calling back. Why is your coffee mug even bigger this time, Boss Man? Okay, well, I'm glad you got it working. I shared everything with you. We just went over it. Good to know. Hey, what is you want the Power Platform to automatically order you another coffee every time you paste a snippet? Yeah, oh, perfect. Nothing pairs better with snippets than heart palpitations. So best of luck there, boss man. Excellent. I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe. I don't know. All right. So what are some resources that are available to you? We've got snippet samples available to you. When you actually create snippets and contribute to them, by the way, you can be recognized. You can get that cool snippet sorcerer badge that is available. So you can see those snippets at Power Platform Snippets. You can also see all the samples in the community at aka.ms/community/samples, as well as the videos that are available at aka.ms/community/YouTube. So go check all those resources. They are absolutely free and available to you.